All right, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation and Treaty 3 territory. My name is Neil Harden. I'm chairing today's panel. With me are Harvey Diamond and Linda Schulz. The recording secretary is Crystal Harland, and the assessor is Merrick Froelich. To the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note that you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along in the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing has concluded, you can leave the meeting. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment rule in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the board. The board is appointed annually by council and is independent of it in the city administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order to be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench for the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions the applicant may have, then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will hear items 1, 3, and 6 on our docket today. Mrs. Harlan, please affirm the assessor's and applicant's testimony for the first property.
Merrick Froelich. Yes, I do.
All right. So the first item is property today is 422 Jarvis, and I understand there will be an issue with a late evidence by the applicant. So, Mr. Froelich, can you lead us through the basic information?
For sure. The file number is 25-145. Property is 422 Jarvis. Roll number is 14100047400. The original value for 2026 is $4,342,000. 5 different premises with this unit. One building. Original building was built in 1911, and the effective year built that we have for this building is 1942. Zoning is M2 manufacturing. The land area is 120,480 square feet. Plan area is 66,133. We have a leasable area of 230 square feet. Uh, the This is a unique property because there was a change of ownership recently, and the mailing information that we did receive with regards to that was with regards to a bankruptcy notice, and the letters following on the middle portion of page 2. We received the attached letter dated June 9th, 2023. Please notify that Bondi Holdings Corporation was filed for bankruptcy on September 9th, 2021, and appointed Ernst & Young as a trustee. See attached, as there are no operating statements for 2022. Please confirm the receipt of this email. So I blocked out the details of the email, and then subsequently there was a bankruptcy sale that had taken place. I've blocked that out as well because that's a post-reference sale. And we also have a sale dated March 5th, 2014. The property was listed. This is a listing that I have from April 2023, just showing some of the details of the building. It's a very distinguishable building. It's in the when you welcome to the north end from the Slaw-Robchuk Bridge. So when you're traveling down Isabel via Salter, it's on the left-hand side. And as you can tell by the front portion of it, if you've ever gone across that bridge before, you'll notice the building. Some details, it was a freestanding industrial building with additional adjacent land for sale, unique property, 5-story standalone industrial facility, where it's located north end. Property spans 2 parcels with a total site area of 2.765 acres. There's also a vacant lot that has electrical service. Purpose-built as cold storage facility with the main floor recently renovated and used for cannabis production. Main floor redevelopment for $58,906. Floors undeveloped cold storage warehouse, and there's a phase 2 ESA completed. So as we read this listing, it sounds very appealing. However, there's also a lot of issues with regards to this building, and the applicant will share that with us. And so when we go through this procedure, this is the nice version of the building, but we'll see some additional pictures from the applicant discussing some of the limitations of this building currently. As you can see on the top of page 4, some highlights with regards to the work that has been done. And there was a sale price listed at the time, and subsequently on the bottom of page 4, you got the actual building per se, and then on the other side you have a vacant parcel of land. On page 5, you can see all the different salient details of the property. It talks about the roll numbers. It talks about the breakdown of the areas with regards to the main area, second, third, fourth, and fifth later. Total usable area that they have listed here, where the property was built in like 4 different stages: 1908, 1911, 1940, 1950. Some details with regards to the structure: reinforced multi-story concrete wall with concrete supported and by a substantial number of thick vertical reinforcement supports. Talks about the loading: 3 dock levels, fully fenced modern concrete floor. Electrical capacity, 3-phase 600 volt with distribution to main and second floor. There is a sprinkler system. It talks about 4 freight elevators and 48 lofts. I haven't inspected this property. One of my colleagues has. And so, like similar to what I've shared with you before, there's some very good, decent aspects of this building, and there's some aspects of this building that has a lot of challenges to it. As you can see on page 6, you can see some of the spaces that are utilized here. You have a kitchen area. You got some hallway space where the infrastructure is. Some additional pictures on page 7. And some additional pictures on page 8. There is an article with regards to the renovated cold storage building that had for the market for $3.5 billion. Some details with regards to what the company was and who was there in the past before it went around into some financial trouble. Talks about the Colliers listing. Now I'm on page 13 with regards to our market valuation.
Yeah, you may as well proceed with that.
Yep, for sure. So what we have here is, just give me 1 sec here. I don't have the blended rent. I forgot to write that down. 635.
293.
293. Thank you, Mr. Hardin. Yep. So we got 293 rent for we have the leasable area of 215,230. Potential rent is 630, 635. It works out to 293, utilizing a 15% vacancy, 3% for expenses, $4 for shortfall. We come with a net operating income of 390, 821. Utilizing a 9% cap rate, we came up with the value of $4,342,000. Because this is such a unique old property, and some of my comparables here are just have nothing of this size. So I tried to focus on older buildings. And so we got properties on Inkster, Wellington, Logan, Adelaide, and Bannatyne. So I'm not taking any new properties here. Uh, the average wall heights range from 11 to up to 20, and the effective year built is between 1911 to 1964 of different values and different rents. In terms of cap rate study, this property is an outlier, so it's on the outer range of our 80th percentile. So for industrial properties, we have no cap rates. So the 20th to 80th percentile is between 5.35 and 7.3, and we're utilizing a 9% cap rate for this property. Once again, this is a unique property with many challenges, but there are some positive aspects of this property, and I am open to questions. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Applicant, do you have any questions for the assessor?
Uh, yes, sir. The the rate for the rent in that is, and you're saying there's 215,230 square feet of leasable space. Were you
That's what we
aware
have
that
listed.
the other four floors are not usable?
Yeah, and some of that information is based on this the information on page 5 of my brief in this in the sale listing, where they use total usable building area of 222,274 square feet. I'm very mindful of some of the challenges on the upper floors. We're just basing our valuation on what we have in our system here.
Okay. Yeah, then I have no other questions. My information will, you probably have more questions for me.
Well,
Okay.
you know what? Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Diamond, any questions?
No, I don't think so. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Schultz.
Just one question in regards to your cap rate at 9%. I know you were indicating that this being a unique property, being outside of the 5.35 and 7.3 based on the City of Winnipeg cap rate studies. Can you maybe comment a little further on why it's such a high cap rate?
Well, factors that go into cap rate would be building size.
Okay.
Building size would lead into a higher cap rate, and age of the building.
Okay.
And then in this situation, like so, for example, when we have newer properties that are say in the mid-20s in terms of ceiling height, that would be very appealing for industrial properties. This property has a wall height of 13 feet, which would also lead to a higher cap rate. So we're looking at wall heights, we're looking at the age of the building, and we're looking at areas. Those are the three important components of cap rates in our analysis.
Okay. All right. Thank you. No further questions.
Okay, so you say that you based your valuation strictly on the city info. Is that correct?
Well, and because we have a post-reference sale that I can't use, and I'm mindful of, and I'm mindful of the limitations of the building. And so sometimes in situations like this, it's I leave it to the board to decide what they feel is fair to the applicant and to the City of Winnipeg taxpayer.
All right, thank you. So we will proceed to the applicant's evidence. First of all, I understand their brief was received late. So, Mr. Froelich, do you have any objection to utilizing their brief?
I have no issues at all with their brief being late.
Okay. Uh, I guess next then hear from the applicant. Why was your brief presented late?
The reason it was, I think it was almost a week later, 4 or 5 days, was basically a communication. One of the owners, co-owners, Mr. Liu, was out of the country. We have some communication issues and challenges. So everything was prepared. It was just submitted those few days late.
Okay. Ms. Schultz, do you have any questions on the applicant's evidence? The timing of the applicant's
No,
evidence.
no, I'm okay with it being presented.
Mr. Diamond?
I have no questions.
Okay, then we'll take a short in-camera break so the panel can consider whether to accept the evidence.
All right, Mr. Chair, I'll take us offline. Gentlemen, if you can follow me, please, and I'll just have you take a seat in the foyer. Sure. Thank you. I'll be right back, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Thank you very much. The board has deliberated and will admit the applicant's evidence even though it was late, in the interest of fairness. So please begin your presentation, Mr. Applicant.
Thank you. Firstly, I just want to give you a little bit of the history. When we purchased the building, we own the building that's attached. We're 440 Jarvis, a Flui Trading. It's a fruit and vegetable wholesaler, and we're attached. We have a shared wall. So when the building became available for sale, we were actively looking to pursue it for using it for spillover storage for our company. It wasn't intended to be pursued as a property to rent out, just for excessive storage space. The amount we paid on it was $875,000, which is
that the post-reference sale? If it's a post-reference sale, we don't want to hear about the amount that was paid for.
Well, that's just what we had paid for the property.
Yeah, but
on your documents.
If it occurred after April 1st, 2023, we don't want to hear.
Oh, okay. It's interesting. Okay, so the building was purchased in September of 2024. And unfortunately, the tax bill that had come out in excess of $90,000 was due. And we didn't have the opportunity to appeal that process because we were not, obviously we had passed the date when we could effectively put an appeal in on the taxes. So we paid the $90,000 tax bill, hoping to get some kind of relief, but we didn't. So now that brings us to now with the new assessment and several points that we do have is, and I know I can't refer to what we paid for the property. I believe the value of the property was everything was based on the previous owner and tenant Bonify, the marijuana grow operation. As the assessor had mentioned that they had done extensive renovations. Those renovations were confined to one floor, the first floor, which I believe is just under the 59,000 square feet. The renovations included putting a lot of equipment that was very specific to the marijuana grow operation, including lights. They had the geothermal system, most of the electrical, the security system, the HVAC. When we took possession of that in the assessors, in the city's evidence, they mentioned that there was a sale from the receivers. All of that equipment was sold and removed. So none of the electrical, all the upgrades, all the lighting, all of that was removed from the building. The geothermal heat, for instance, the system, the city of Winnipeg made us disconnect there's two wells on the property, and we had to disconnect those wells. So we've had to resort back to traditional gas heating. And there's only heating on the main floor. That heating is, for this past winter, is averaging $20,000 a month to heat that one main floor. The HVAC, most of that was removed. The ventilation, the new systems that were in on the main floor. So the basic HVAC remains to bring air into the building, but all of these upgrades have been removed. The security system that was in there, all of the software, everything, hardware, everything was removed. We spent a little over $12,000 getting that operational so we could actually open the doors in the building itself. There is a fire suppression system on the main floor. That was inoperable when we took possession. And I'm going to bounce around a little bit. Because we're just using it, going to be intending it for our own storage. This past year, and that's part of the evidence I submitted, we were going to have a 30-day event in the building, having a Halloween party called Fear, where we would take the first floor and delve up certain areas in certain rooms and have a Halloween scare experience. We went through all the motions to get permitted for that. And one of the first things was the fire department visited us, did an inspection, and told us what we needed. CO2 detectors, work on the system. So we spent a little over $38,000 to get all of this work done. The event itself was approved 2 days before the event. The permitting office showed up, the building inspector, and shut the entire event down and would not issue us a temporary permit for the month of October. And it was all based, as per the evidence, on the building structure. They required us to get brand new blueprints as well as a structural engineer to show that the building would be able to pass for this event. So as a result, we couldn't get that done in a 2-day span. It'd be impossible. The building, the 215,000 square feet roughly, it's not occupiable. It's not rentable. There's no heating. There's not those other 4 floors. There's no way to actually use them. The original usage of the building was for a freezer, Winnipeg cold storage. So it was just frozen space. So there was no fire suppression in there. There was no demising walls. It was just frozen space. All of that equipment's been removed, so it can't be repurposed for that at all. So it's 4 floors that are sitting vacant and always will. The issue for value, once again, we all recognize it's a unique property. We've had over 11 break-ins. We have a full-time person that's doing security for an empty building because we have nothing but squatters. They're scaling fences, they're doing everything possible to break into the building. And like I said, we've had to spend our money on the security system, but the doors, the way it's very sophisticated how they're breaking in. So we've had encampments on multiple floors. So we had to remove them. The police on several occasions. Across the street, we had an encampment, a little mini village set up, and to discourage that, we cut down several trees that were being used for shelter and the like. And instead of that working in our favor to discourage that, we got a citation that we cut down elm trees that we weren't aware of. So we had to properly go and spend money to have all of that done, hauled off, and buried at the dump. So that didn't help us. You allude to that there's 4 elevators in the building. Those elevators were installed, they were upgraded The last upgrades to them were in 1925.
Hmm.
One of the 4 elevators is functional. The other 3 would require, we have quotations on that, in excess of $40,000 per elevator to get them operational. So we do have one that does work. The 3 docks that are mentioned, the loading docks, it's one loading dock. In the pictures, the loading docks, the other 2 are blocked. The previous tenant installed a generator that is in front of those 2 loading docks. So it leaves one functional loading dock. Yes, I had mentioned that it's 58,900 square feet is the first floor that is usable space. And that space is usable by our sister company for storage. The one thing that we have significant roof leaks. Even in the pictures that are on the brochures for the sale documents that the assessor had submitted, you can even see in his pictures that there's damage on the floor. You can see where there's been roof leaks. As soon as the area, I guess, realized that there wasn't a full-time tenant in the building, and some of our pictures that you see, the garbage, the back of the building is used as a garbage dump. We're constantly cleaning up and scooping up garbage from the residents, and putting a fence up, and then the fence will get torn down, and then garbage will get filled up in the back of the property again. And the fire department told us we're responsible for that, so we have to keep basically disposing of the garbage that's being dumped in there. On the main floor, we do have very excessive roof leaks. There was portions of the roof that were repaired. Others have not been repaired. We're fixing those repairs on an ongoing basis. But as far as a rental property goes, I feel that the property should be based, the evaluation should be based on the usable rental space. Even though we're using it for our own storage, realistically, it's a 58,000 square foot building, and that's it. In the future, if there's ever any development on it, then of course we would expect that additional square footage to be added on to the building and pay our proportionate taxes accordingly. But as it sits, it's 58,000 square feet of usable space, and even then, the space is demised because it was made strictly for for the marijuana grow op. The ceilings are low. There's one section of the building, about 1,700 square feet, that has a high ceiling. The rest of it are very low ceilings, narrow doorways they're walk-through doorways. They're not meant for equipment. So there'd have to be extensive renovations made to make it a functional facility. I think that's about it as far as my comments are on the on the usability of the space. And based on the value, I'm sorry, lastly, we do have insurance on the building, and our insurance value is based on $3 million. That's it. Insurance companies would not give any more than that. And out of that 3 million, 1.5, so half of the value, it would be for recovering if there was a total loss, would be for the cleanup. If the building, which we can't ever see it happening because it's a solid stone structure basically. But out of that $3 million, half of the value would be for the cleanup operation. So in a sense, the property is insured for a maximum of 1.5 million. So based on the uniqueness of the property, I think a valuation of 4.3 in a cookie cutter approach, it makes sense. But for the uniqueness of the building, I think it's a 59,000 square foot usable property. And that's my evidence.
Okay, what value do you think we should put on it then?
1.5 million.
Okay, and what would that be based on?
It would be based on the amount that I can't say we paid. The previous owners paid 1.1 million for the building. The value of the square footage, it's similar because we have the attached building next door, which is a warehouse, which is approximately 45,000 square feet. And that's a very functional building. And our valuation on that is $1.8 million.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Froelich. Do you have any questions?
Yes, some questions. How big's the freight elevator? How big's the freight elevator?
Freight elevator is gonna say it's 10 feet by 6.
Okay, so you'd be able to have a dolly to move stuff upstairs for storage if you had to, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and so with regards to the second floor space, because I noticed that one of the things that you trade or that as a part of your business next door is you would it be able to use to store tires or reinforced fiber reinforced polymer or hardware on the second floor at all?
No,
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 there's
because
no.
the tires have to be put in racking. So we store that at the 440 Jarvis. Our polymer, our rebar. Those bars are 9 meters long. So they're
Okay,
they're
I'm
too
just
long.
curious, right? So,
Oh
so
yeah,
is there
yeah.
any is there any utility at all on the second floor or for any sort of storage?
I would say for light storage, once again in the future, but even that one freight elevator was designed a little bit different because it's not where you get in there and press a button and it goes up and down. You have to be in the elevator, the doors have to be closed, and it's single operator has to operate it. If any other of the floors, if the elevator slightly ajar, it doesn't work.
Yep. I
There's no
understand.
there's no recall button or anything. You have to go up, you have to go down. So ideally, when we purchased it, we thought, well, this is great. Let's turn this thing back into a freezer. But that's the reason that VersaCold left. It's just the efficiencies aren't there. But in saying that, like I said, in the future, if we have the opportunity to develop it, then we would. That's not going to be for a 5-year plan.
Yep. No other questions. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Schultz, any questions?
No questions at this time, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Diamond.
Hey, so are you now using 58,900 square feet on the main floor?
No.
Okay. And if you were to rent that, what do you think the fair rental would be for that, for what you?
For triple net, probably $4 a square foot.
Okay. That's my questions. Thank you.
Okay, okay, if I can direct you to page 13 of the assessor's brief. He's got 5 areas there. Which would be the main floor?
I'll have to get my phone, sir. I have it on my phone.
Okay. And I don't know, Mr. Froelich, if you can give us some enlightenment on which represents the main floor.
I would have to pull it up, Mr. Chairperson. It's hard to say, right? Because our most recent PID would be the 60,000, but I think it's combined with the 133,076.
Okay.
What I'm guessing though is looking at that
might be different than yours.
Hey, Mr. Applicant, do you have any
I'm looking at the page 13.
Yeah, there's 5 premise IDs there. Which one will represent the main floor, or is it combined, as Mr. Froelich said, and
No, it would be the 60,000.
the 60,000?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, could I have another question to
Sure.
the assessor?
Sure.
Okay, Mr. Froelich, I guess the question I have here is, in your valuation, you have a 15% vacancy. If it was only referring to the first floor, would it still have a 15% vacancy?
Yes, we would, just
Okay.
because of the date of the building and how old it is.
There, thank you. That's helpful. Thank you.
All right. Anything further you wish to add, Mr. Applicant?
No.
All right. Thank you very much. I guess then that concludes this property. So you can leave now if you wish, or
Okay, thank you.
uh,
That's a
sit
nice way
there.
to say get out.
Well, no, if you want to listen with rapt attention to the rest of our deliberations, you can.
No, okay, thank you. Thank you for your time.
There's just one thing I'd like to share with the applicant, though, just for residential purposes and everything like that. So, sir, with regards to the post-reference sale, what happens is that when we created the 2025 and 26 roll,
Mhm.
anything that happens after April 1st, 2023 is post-reference, just like for 2027 and 2027-8. Anything that happens after April 1st, 2025 is post-reference as well, so we can't use that data. We're mindful of it, but it's something that we can't do. And we do the same process in terms of residential homes as well for all properties within the city of Winnipeg. So it's always whatever the year of reference is, it could either be 2 or 3 years before.
Right. Okay, no, but like I said, as long
Yeah.
as you're aware of it, that's great.
If I can just add there, this is based on Court of Queen's Bench at the time decisions of a number of years ago that said we cannot consider post-reference material.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So we will move on to 190 Omens Creek Boulevard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so Ms. Arlen, do we have any applicants present for this property?
No, Mr. Chair.
All right, so then we will proceed, Mr. Froelich, with your evidence.
Sure thing. File number is 25-312. Rule number is 130-0954, 11500. The assessed value for 2023 is $7,306,000. One building, well, it's actually 2 buildings. One built in 1997, one built in 2014. Wall height's 25 feet. Land area is 114,454. And we have a leasable area of 58,393 and a land to building ratio of 1.96. I've never inspected this property. Here's some external pictures that we have on page 2. Nice curb appeal. It seems to be a well-positioned industrial facility. You can see the location of it, where it's located in the north or northwest quadrant of the city of Winnipeg, between Route 90 and Brookside Boulevard on Omens Creek. And then on the bottom of page 3, you can see a more macro picture of where the property is located at. What we have here is the property owner has been compliant with regards to filling out the income and expense mailer. They've reported a net income of $415,000 and a leasable area of 58,235. The bottom of the top part of page 5 confirms that. And the subject property that we have on lease is that we do have a rental rate of $7.25 for this property. Following our workup, leasable area we have for this property is 58,393, which is slightly higher than what we have listed here. Using a 3.5% vacancy, expenses of $3, $4 shortfall, come up with net operating income of $368,971. Utilizing a 5.5% cap rate, we come up with a value of $7,306,000. What I've done for comparables is I've taken comparables that are in the that are of similar sizes and similar ages. So I got properties on Logan, Scurfield, Debates, and Discovery. Newest buildings in 2000, oldest buildings in 2000, newest buildings in 2020, and the rental rates range from $8.50 to $11.50. So our rent of $695 or $690 is below the actuals that have been reported, and what been reported. So our model is $690, which is below the actuals that have been reported. The following with regards to our cap rate study for this property. The cap rate study for this property is below the 20th to 80th percentile. That's because this is a newer building and with a good ceiling height. That concludes my formal presentation. Thank you.
Okay, any questions, Mr. Diamond?
Yes, Mr. Froelich, I know that the cap rate is particularly low. You indicated that the reason was why, but are you saying this building is superior to more than 80% of the industrial buildings in Winnipeg?
I would definitely say that, yes.
And the cap rate's justified at 5.05?
You know what? The point is, the cap rate could probably go a bit higher, but then if I went with a higher cap rate, then I could also include the higher actual rent that we have in place. So that would sort of balance it out.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Okay, Ms. Schultz.
Asked and answered. Thank you.
Okay, just looking at the mailer on page 4, I guess it is.
Yep.
They have a lower NOI, but they have including financing, I think at 138, almost 139. So that would put their NOI at, if we had 140, almost $400,000, over $400,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't include financing with regards to when we're
Oh,
looking at net operating income, so we would add that.
Yep, I know. Yeah. Yeah. So, and you're at 369 roughly. Okay, I've got no more questions. So I guess seeing that the applicant is not present to present any evidence, we shall then conclude this property. And then we'll move on to item 6, 585 Camille Sis Road Street.
Just give me 1 sec here.
Mr. Chair?
Yes. Yes, Ms. Harden.
That one is not on the docket.
585?
Right, that one was adjourned.
I thought it was number 7, 615 that was adjourned.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Oh, pardon me, my mistake. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
My mistake.
I do have some information to share because I had a hearing with Mr. Diamond last week with 2 of the panel members, and we were talking about the 80th percentile for industrial properties. So since 1995 to current, we have 2,146 properties listed, and 13% of our properties were built after 1995.
Thank you.
So this way, when we ask that question, sometimes many panel members ask about the 20th percentile. And so I've always placed a premium. I say, generically speaking, buildings built in the 21st century would be different than, say, a building built in the 1970s. And so we had a situation whereby, why are the cap rates so different? And a part of that would be a part of the 20th to 80th percentile. Just something to share.
Yeah, it might be helpful if it showed what the first percentile cap rate would be on your
Yeah,
tables.
well, it's hard though, right? Because it's verbal evidence and whatever, it's just the methodologies that tax agents use to provide properties. Like, we have the data. It's just that I want to be transparent.
Thank you.
So can I proceed with 585?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. File number is 25-281. Roll number is 060531100500. The 2026 assessed value was $13,352,000. Two buildings, one built in 2015, one built in 2017. Wall height's 31 feet. Land area is 236,388, and our leasable area is 91,036. The land to building ratio is 3.91. What we have here, I've not inspected this property, but I was able to get a lease listing from 2021 showing some details with regards to the quality of the property that we're reviewing today for appeal purposes. 595 Camille Sist. The lease asking rent in 2021 was $10.95. The operating costs were $430, and this is based on information that was before the inflationary periods have taken place since 2023. Located in St. Boniface Industrial Park, Winnipeg's second largest park. This state of industrial building is ready for occupancy November 1st, 2020, featuring modern construction, 30+ ceilings, low site coverage for easier truck movements, access from Dugald or Plessis with excellent transit service. The Trans-Canada and Perimeter Highway are less than 10 minutes away for easy access. Retail amenities in the Regent Lagimodi area, and within 5 minutes. So here's some details with regards to the properties that we have on page 3, showing the two buildings that are taking place here. I'm talking about the main floor and the second floor. Main floor space is 30,370. The second floor net space is 7,500. Talks about the ceiling height, the spacing, the construction, and some of the amenities of what a brand new building would have. On page 4 are some pictures that are showing the property in question. As you can see, it's a premium warehouse facility, which is why we have a decent rent here. Here on page 5 is the outside curb appeal of the building, and then on the bottom of page 5 is a second floor office space. We simply have additional office space on the 6th and 7th floor. On page 6 and 7, pardon me, not floor. And here's some warehousing space on page 8. Property owner has been compliant with regards to completing the income and expense mailer. However, it's a bit vague for us to actually use because we don't have the breakdown of what the leasable space was as well, or how much revenue they're actually getting at the time. Because if you're looking at this, our potential rent is $827, and they've only poured it $675 because it's a brand new building and they're looking for new tenants. We have the land was sold in 2013 for $814,500. And here we have the breakdown of what we have for the leasable area. What we do have here is there was the 2025 assessment was different than 2026. There was agreement in place where we reduced the blended rent was $9.08. And we reduced the rent to $8.97 with regards to that. So there would have to be adjustments. Just give me 1 sec here. I have the actual workups here to look at. But what we had initially is with regards to the revised value, it's $896 for a value of $816,247. Utilizing the 91,036 comes up with a a GPI of 816,247. Vacancy of 1.5%. Expenses at 3%, shortfall at $4 to come up with a net operating income of 774,421. The cap rate that we used for this property, based on the initial cap rate, was lower for 2025, but for 2026, we increased the cap rate to 5.8%, and we came up with a value of 13,352,000. When we look at my comparable rents that I have on page 11, show us that our market rents are within the range. What we have here is we have properties that are in a similar size square. See, in this situation here, our leasable areas are a bit smaller than the subject property. But what I want to do is I want to focus on rents that were of newer built properties with newer ceiling heights. So our range of wall heights are ranging from 20 to 31 feet, and our range of rents are from 925 to 1547. Talking about our cap rates, the cap rate that we use was 5.8% for the revised value in 2026, and our 20th to 80th percentile range is 5.35% to 7.3%. That includes my official presentation. Thank you.
Hey, questions, Mr. Diamond?
Yeah, I noticed that you're using a 5.8% cap rate here. This is probably the state of the art. I would say it's probably, if not superior to the one we just dealt with, at least not at least as good. Why, again, I'm just wondering, why would we have a 5.8% cap rate here when you've indicated?
So if you look at my front page, the initial model value was 14,147,000, and we adjusted it to 13,352,000. And so as a part of the 15-1 that was signed in 2025, we adjusted the cap rate. And the major difference here, so even though this may be a superior building, it's also twice the size of the previous one on Omans Creek. So this building has a leasable area of 91,000, and I believe the last one had around 35,000. What was the leasable area of the previous property? It was
58,000.
58,000, yeah. So bigger buildings have higher cap rates.
And so you think the cap rate of 5.8 is justified here?
Well, it was a negotiated settlement that we did for 2025.
Okay, so I guess the question, is that people should negotiate.
Well, there's an appeal process in place here, so
Yeah.
you know, we know the industry. We could have changed assessments to $1, and people would still appeal their assessments.
I understand that. I'm just thinking that we have to be fair with everybody. But okay, thank you, Mr. Froelich.
Okay, any questions, Ms. Schultz?
No questions, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Harlan, again, we don't have any applicant available appearing.
Not, no.
All right. So in the absence of the applicant, then we will conclude this hearing. We've now heard all items on today's agenda, and this hearing is now adjourned. Thank you very much, Merrick.
No problem. Take care, guys. I hope you have a great day.
Okay, thank you very much.